Hello, I'm Jennifer Lumley, and I am a Virginia Master Naturalist, and I volunteer with the Audubon at Home program and really enjoy using the Loudoun County mapping system. So I'm putting together this short tutorial to get anyone else started using the tool who has an interest but is finding it a little bit confusing. So you are going to want to navigate to this website. You can do a search under Loudoun County Mapping, and then you'll see the site for Weblogis come up. Open it up, and the first thing you'll see is a liability statement. You do have to click OK to indicate that you agree with that, and that will get you into the site. So you're looking to learn more about your property, or perhaps you are interested in learning about a property that you or a family member is considering purchasing, this site has all kinds of wonderful information. So the first thing you're going to do is search for the address you're interested in. So go to the left over here where you see the search tab, click on that, then click on Find Address. And here you are going to enter in your street number, which in my case is going to be 250. And normally, if you have one of the more recent numbers, the 5-digit numbers, it will bring up your address among others. But because this is an older address, I'm going to have to start typing in the name of the street. So it's 250 Nursery Avenue South. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just using the property Fireman's Field in Percival, and then click Locate on Map. And there it is. Sometimes you may have to zoom out a little bit using this slider on the left if you have a large property that you're looking at, such as this one. And you want to know where the boundaries of the property are. And in order to do that, you'll go here to Identify. Click on Identify, then Land Records, then Parcel. And you'll notice nothing happened when I did that. And that's because when you're using this tool over here, the Identify, you have to go back and click on your address in order to get it to load. So now we're seeing the boundaries of the property with a little window that tells us how many acres it is and a PIN number. And if you click on that PIN number, there's some interesting information. It'll open another page that tells you who the owner is. Here's the town of Percival. You can look at the sales over the years or transfers. You can look at the tax history, which is, maybe interesting if you're purchasing a property. The land use status, but what I like to do is go to aerial photos right here and click on that. It's always nice to be able to see your property from above. And this site gives you not just the current photograph of the property from above, but it also has previous ones. So here it is. Again, we're going to have to scroll. We're going to have to zoom out a little bit in order to get a better view of it. And the arrows up here will allow you to rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise to see it from a slightly different angle. And all while maintaining your property boundary so that you can see where that lies. There it is. So you'll see up here, it says 1 of 25. That means that they have 25 images of this site. And if you go to select date, you can choose a different date. You can go back to 2011 and see what might have changed. And you can see that the parking lot had not yet been updated. So that can be interesting if you're looking at your property. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the map now. And the next thing I want to show you is how to look at your soils. And for that, you're going to go to the Map tab on the left. Click on that. Click on Environmental. Notice I'm not clicking on Environmental Health. You want Environmental, then click on the plus sign there and click Soils. If you do not click on both the environmental and soils, you won't get the information. If I remove that first check, I open it up without checking it, you'll see that the soils don't show. So it's easy to forget that step. Okay, so now we have the soil information that's been mapped out, and you have numbers for each soil type, 17B, 23B, 10B, and 20C is coming here at the bottom. And what I recommend at this point is that you make a note of those soil types, because in order to look them up, you're going to lose some information. So now that you have the numbers, go back to identify, click on environmental, then click on soils here. And remember, you have to go back and click on the property. And it brings up this box. Notice I've lost the boundary now to the property, and that's why I wanted you to make a note of the soil types first. So it's telling me that right where I clicked, it's soil type 23B. The B is an indicator of the steepness of the slope. It'll be A, B, C, D, and that is just indicating a steeper and steeper slope. And then if you click on C code description, it will take you to another page where you can look up your soil types. Unfortunately, I can't show you that page because for whatever reason, when I record, even though it shows on my screen, it does not record the page in the video. So I can't show it to you, but I can tell you what you want to do is once that window opens, scroll way, way, way down until you get to the second chart. It will be called Summary of Soil Characteristics and Use Potential. And what it's going to give you is information about the potential of the land for development, how many feet to bedrock, and then it'll tell you the potential for whether the land's going to perk, the potential for septic and agricultural potential. It will categorize the land as prime orchard, prime farmland, secondary cropland, and so on to give you an indication of what the possible uses for that land might be. So it's great information, and I apologize for not being able to show you that chart. So we'll get rid of the soil numbers, and then still in soils, you may want to look at soil drains. And what these are is they trace the area through the property where soil is going to drain from surrounding land. And you can see it in the green lines here. Those are the soil drains. So you can expect some moisture in those areas, and that can be useful. Then you also want to check floodplains. There are no floodplains in this view, and also hydric soils. And you'll see that you do have some hydric soils on this property, and note they're following those land drains. And this is soil that is going to remain saturated for a significant portion of the year and requires plants that are adapted to those conditions. So that's really important if you are doing plantings on your property, to choose plants that are adapted to hydric soils. So let me get rid of that information. And the other two things you may want to check are topography. In this particular example, the land is fairly flat, so you don't really see much in the contouring here. But if you have a more variable piece of property, this can be really helpful to see where the slopes are, which way they're facing, because that can also affect what is going to do well there. So that's a nice, and it gives you your elevation. So you can see 520 feet right here. So that can be very useful. So click that off. And the last thing that I like to look at is the forest coverage, because we know that in order to support wildlife, connecting corridors of forest is really important. So if you can see where you have areas that you might be able to put plantings that would enlarge corridors for wildlife, that's very useful also. So there. So those are the main parts of this tool that I use. You may use different parts, but it will at least get you started so that you understand how to navigate the tool. And I hope you find it really useful in looking at your property and learning more about that piece of land. So thank you so much for listening.